We got the new album, Inertia, which is out next Friday. Um, Hopefully this interview will be up before then. It's been 5 years since the previous album. What was the reason for such a long gap in between records?
There were several reasons. First of all, this album, the new album, is ready by. It was ready 2 years ago by 2019.
Wow.
Yeah. So the reasons why we delayed were that first of all we were trying to find a better record deal. And that takes a lot of time because with bigger labels, you have to be patient. You have to be very cautious the way you approach them. And it takes them time to check you out and see, if things are okay for them to get forward with you and sign you, offer you a deal. Also, the fact that we had the pandemic made us decide to delay it a little bit more because all of the bands are trying to release albums closer to the time that the touring will resume. So that was another factor why we delayed. And the third factor overall was that since there were a lot of changes in my vocals, it took some time to find my own sound and stabilize it and be comfortable enough, but also confident enough in order to record it, because it was the first time that I used this kind of vocals, and you have to have a serious result. It's not that you can get away with it. We are not, and we don't feel like an amateur band, so everything had to be in the best possible quality, and that takes a little bit of time extra. That's why we delayed so much, but I can assure you that this is not what is going to be happening from now on.
Okay, that's good. Now, like you say, you're not an amateur band at all. Anyone that's heard the band can hear that it's so tight. There's a lot going on. So obviously, you want to have the vocals to match that.
Sure.
Why did you change your vocal delivery this time around? Was it medical reasons or just something that you wanted to try?
As a band, since the beginning, we always wanted to keep our options open and explore different things. We're not this kind of band that would release the same album again and again. I don't have any problems with bands that they choose to do that, and I'm a huge fan of Motorhead, for example, and AC/DC, but this is not us. So every time we're searching, we're listening to different stuff. We're not only listening to metal. So it's very refreshing for us to incorporate new elements in our music. And for me, it's also more interesting when I am on stage and I'm changing my voices. I think it's a level up because usually you have either the singers that do clean vocals or only death metal vocals. I personally find very interesting when I listen to bands that you hear the singer changing voices. To me, it's very impressive, and I always wanted to try that. I like to have challenges. I don't like flat stuff, you know what I mean? And that's why I started doing this kind of vocals.
Cool. I mean, it lends itself to Scar of the Sun so well because Scar of the Sun isn't a band that's easily pigeonholed. I've heard people say, "Oh, they're a gothic metal band, they're prog metal, groove metal," which are three completely different styles. So, and so to have that more dynamic vocal range, I think, adds a new level and a step up for a band that's already so accomplished as musicians. So.
Well, I think that if you actually dig deep in our music, you will find many, many different elements, even more than the ones that people think that they are the obvious, Obviously, we started more as an atmospheric metal band with many gothic metal elements, because at the time, I was more into bands like that, like, Paradise Lost, with the Typo Negative, Tiamat, Amorphis, Anathema, My Dying Bride. I like, and I still like all these bands, but eventually I expanded my. I was always expanding my horizons, and I reached the level that the point that my favorite bands are bands like Architects, Killswitch Engage, I don't know, Evergrey. We have a lot of different elements in there, but also I would have to say bands outside of metal, like in my clean vocals, my main influence, many think that on my clean vocals, my main influence is Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost, but the truth is not. That is Dave Gahan from Depeche Mode, and I think that it's Nick Holmes' main influence as well on his clean vocals, or bands like Pet Shop Boys or Italo disco bands that they have a different approach on clean vocals. They are more straight and they don't have this classical approach of doing vibrato and stuff like that. So it's a lot of elements really that we're blending in our music.
Yeah, do you know what? That's so gratifying to hear. For years, I thought I was the only metal fan who liked Pet Shop Boys. So
no.
Me, you, and Gamma Ray.
In Gamma Ray, I would say, yeah.
Well, something else that's quite striking about the album is the artwork. The artwork is magnificent. It really is. Who did the art for this
one? The guy that is responsible for everything you have seen from Scar of the Sun, and when I'm saying everything, I mean all the visuals, photos, videos, and artworks and T-shirts, is a guy called Achillas Gatsopoulos, and he was the original drummer of Scar of the Sun, and also he's the brother of our bassist, and he's my best friend. But his actual job is, he's a graphic designer, a professional graphic designer, and a professional film director. He worked in Hollywood movies or movies like Harry Potter and Charlie and Chocolate Factory, etc. He's an amazing artist, and every time we finish an album, we sit down and we have a long chat about all the topics that I'm writing on the album, and I explain to him everything in detail. So he takes notes, and he, as a visual artist, he gets some strong images into his mind, and whatever strikes him the most is probably the thing that will become the artwork. I would agree with you. This is definitely the best artwork we had so far. And actually today we just received the vinyls from Napalm, and it's for the first time we have vinyls, and this artwork shows even better on vinyl, because it has a lot of details. Yes, Achilles is he's the guy for us. He's always gonna be there, and the fact that he's the one that's doing everything creates also an identity. So what we wanted to do with that is that whenever you see this kind of artworks, you immediately understand that it's Scar of the Sun without even seeing the logo of the band.
Yeah,
it's nice for us, at least.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, just looking at a JPEG of the artwork is impressive enough. I can only imagine how grand it is on looking at a vinyl.
Yeah.
You mentioned subjects and topics there. Lyrically, what kind of themes dealt with on Inertia?
The majority of the songs, they're talking about some very hard times that we had in Greece during the last 10 years that had to do with the financial crisis. I don't expect everyone to understand and feel the way we felt, but it was something cruel that happened, and it is something that for me it's not acceptable, because first of all, we all know that the level of corruption on politicians around the world is unbelievable. So I don't accept politicians to destroy a country, get away with it, and then send the bill to everyday people like you and me.
Yeah.
So, we had 40 years of totally corrupted governments that destroyed the country, and then we had countries from Europe saving us supposedly, and actually they did things even worse.
Yeah.
And when for the first time in 2015 we had a government that turned to them and said, okay, we want to pay back what we owe to you, but this is not the way to do it, because people are dying, people are starving, people are jumping off of buildings, and the unemployment reached 30%. Obviously, you cannot pay back anything when the unemployment is on that level.
Yeah.
And so they stepped foot and they said they worked for the first time in favor of the Greek people. And what we got was a punishment, because you know very well that whoever resists and goes against the system, the chances are he's going to be destroyed even more, So things like that are the things I'm talking about. And obviously, I'm not blaming the foreigners for what happened to us. The first and the most important ones that did that to Greek people were the Greek politicians, and whoever wants to work on that subject and make things okay, they should start by going after them and not after people.
Absolutely. That's a really interesting subject to tackle. I know a little bit about it. I briefly met Yanis Varoufakis a few years ago.
He's really good. And
yeah.
He got really ridiculed, man. This guy is unbelievable. His brain is amazing, and eventually they started laughing at him because he was wearing fancy shirts. I mean, come on,
I mean, I remember when he came to the UK to meet with George Osborne, who was our chancellor at the time, and it was like it looked like a rock star meeting like a nerd. George Osborne was just and Yanis Varoufakis was so cool, and everyone that saw him were like, "That's a fucking guy, man."
You know what? Over here, the Conservative Party was talking against him because he was wearing these fancy shirts. But my answer is that, okay, for so many years we had people wearing ties and costumes, and these people destroyed Greece, So fuck the ties, excuse my language,
I swear away, I don't care.
It's not the ties that are gonna build the economy. It's the quality of the ideas that you have. And to tell you the truth, the main problem with the Europeans, with Yanis Varoufakis, was that Varoufakis he's got a PhD on economics, and that's his job. And all the other ministers of finances in Europe, they are lawyers. So it was the only person that was qualified in his subject, economics, and all the others are lawyers. So who is better with economics? And a person that is qualified in economics or a lawyer? I mean, come on. And they had many issues with him, and they actually pressed the Greek government they put pressure in order to kick him out of the government.
Yeah, I mean, I remember he resigned after the Brexit vote. Everyone likes to say, "Oh, Brexit," but no, the Greeks did it first.
Yes, true.
Like anything good or anything important, it started in Greece.
Not metal, though.
No, but there's some great metal from Greece, including Sky of the Sun. So let's get back to talking about the album now that we've put economics to rights.
Yeah.
Well, like you say, this is the first one released through Napalm Records. And like you mentioned, you had to find the right label. What was it about Napalm that was right for you?
I would say everything. First of all, we realized that Napalm Records is a label that finds easier to sign bands that they're not coming from Central or Northern Europe, because this is another issue that we have to tackle. So you need to find a label that will take you seriously, despite the fact that you are from Greece, for example. And Napalm didn't have such a problem. Secondly, it's a very big label. They have a very good network. And they have so many big bands, so you can directly understand that it's not a joke label, to me, it's Napalm Records right now in Europe is one of the two biggest and most serious labels, along with Nuclear Blast. So these two factors were very important, because you need to work with a label that is next to you and that believes in you also, but also that they are able to do stuff. We talked to them for the first time 6-7 years ago, and we were very close to sign for our previous album in Flood. But at the last moment, we got a rejection. But that was not a complete disaster eventually, because they got to know the band. And when we got in touch again, they could check out the progress of the band throughout these years. So we got an offer from them. Needless to say, we were extremely happy, because that was the aim from when we started the band. We reached a deal, we signed, and today we see, how important that was, because the amount of help that we have is, for us, is it's a thing that we see for the first time. We have a press officer that is doing an amazing work. We have an A&R that cares a lot about the band and takes care of everything we might need. And there's a list of people that they are next to us and support us in every aspect. Also, the other thing is the budget. Okay, this album was ready, and they didn't have to, to spend a lot of money for the band, but still they spend money for our videos, they spend money for the mastering, and they spend money for the promotion. So you know very well that these are factors that play a very important role for a band to be able to show its actual face to the people. And whenever tour will resume, there's going to be tour support from them. Up to now, we had to pay everything from our own pocket, and that was very difficult. We had to wait a lot we had to wait a lot in order to gather money for touring, because tour is a very expensive thing. The difference really is huge.
But it's great to, for a band that is so, I don't mean to kiss your ass too much, but it is quite an intellectual band, because there is so much going on.
Thanks,
it's
man.
very intelligent music. So it's great to really have that backing behind it. And I always like finding bands in different countries as it is. And you can already tell from how we've been speaking so far, I love Greece. I love everything about Greece. And there's so many great Greek metal bands like Rotten Christ, Civic Flesh, Firewind, so on and so forth. It's always great to hear more music come from there. I mean, last year was Kalesis. I think they're from Athens as well. They're awesome debut album. So it's great. I want to hear more bands from Greece and Turkey and the Baltic and Balkan nations and all this great. So I think it's so good to have like more of an international roster on Napalm, which they do.
Yeah, that's true. And it doesn't really matter where you come from. If your music is good and it can appeal to many people, it doesn't really matter where you come from.
Absolutely.
If you ask me.
You've also done a couple of music videos so far, and they're very stimulating. They're very visual. Obviously, it's the title track and I Am the Circle. Now, like you say, these would have been done by your friend who's done all the visuals in all aspects so far for Sky of the Sun. So do you feel these are real, true representations of music and the themes within?
I would say that especially I Am the Circle represents better the whole album. It's not that Inertia is a song that is not too much relevant of that, but it's just that if you ask me, I Am the Circle seems closer to the whole spirit of the album, whereas Inertia is based, I would say, more to Swedish death metal.
Okay.
Which was always part of our music, but this song is even, even closer to this kind of. So I Am the Circle, has a more of metalcore elements, I would say, and then some elements from old Scar of the Sun, but in a modern approach. So yeah, for sure, both songs are representative, but especially I Am the Circle is the one that I find so far the most representative.
Sweet. And just to finish up with, then obviously, like you say, touring or that kind of thing is kind of out of the question at the moment. So what plans does Scar of the Sun have to further promote the album?
For now, the only thing we can do is press and pushing the singles and their release through our social media. Eventually, we are discussing about doing an online show at some point. But for sure, the essence of the promotion and for Scar of the Sun is touring. We are already talking with our booking agent and with our label in order to see if we can find some appropriate tours for us. And whenever this will be possible to happen, it seems that it's gonna be happening towards the end of the year, beginning of 2022. We just want to tour relentlessly and play festivals like never before. And it's not only that the pandemic kept us away from shows for a couple of years, until the tours will be back. It's that we were always huge fans of touring. We were always very, very excited when we were discussing about the tour. So we love it. We love traveling and meeting people from different countries and talk about everything, not just heavy metal or Scar of the Sun. We are very friendly guys, and we like to meet people and have a discussion through music, because at the end of the day, this is what is happening. The music makes us get together and be friends, and we have some fans in Europe that we are friends, and we're talking about our wives and our kids and what is going on over here and over there. So we're just looking forward for this thing to resume and get back on the road the soonest possible.
Excellent. Well, Terry, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me today. I really do appreciate it, mate.
Me too, my friend. All the best, and hope you stay safe, you and your loved ones. And if you see us playing around there, just send us a message, and we'll get you in the show and have a beer together.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good
Good night, man. Thanks very much.
night. Bye now.